Well, hello everyone. This is Chrystallynn, Cowgirl Astrologer, and I wanted to continue our discussion about astrology and relationships. This is part two. I don't know how many parts there'll be. I'm just kind of going as I'm inspired and as your questions come in. That is actually what inspires me. So if you guys have specific questions about relationships, leave them below, or you can email me. Um, so today, I thought we'd have a discussion about oppositions in astrology. It's a very, very strong connection, strong compatibility, but we need to discuss really more about what is the purpose of this connection because they can also be really difficult, okay? And yet they're very, very faded. So it's kind of this, catch 22 type of thing. So, first place that you want to look at is your rising sign. And to know your rising sign, you do need to know your time of birth. Um, and you want to look at your seventh house. Typically, that will be your opposite sign. Now, sometimes that will change a little bit depending on degrees and how your life path, how your houses lay out. But typically, it'll be the opposite sign. Your seventh house really rules your partnerships, and it is the opposite. So, for example, if you have an Aries rising, your seventh house would be Libra. Okay, that would is also considered your descendant. It's a part of you that you really need. Remember the Tom Cruise movie where he, says, you complete me. That really, in a lot of ways, can be this relationship that has this opposition. Now, I also look in a chart at the sun sign, at the moon, and really Mercury, Venus, Mars, all of these can play out. So if you do not have an opposition with the relationship with your rising sun and moon, keep looking. Keep looking down and say, do we have this opposition somewhere in the chart? Okay, now it'll play out a little differently based on the planet because each planet really has a different characteristic, a different energy, but it has that main energy as its foundation. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So, if you have a moon in Aries and your partner has Venus in Libra, that's going to be a strong opposition there. You're going to sense that. Okay, you're going to feel that. I am really, um, I really encourage there to be an opposition in the chart because I think that ultimately is the side of us that we're developing, that we need to develop. So let's go ahead and just get into the basic oppositions. We'll go Aries through Pisces, and we'll talk about how they play out, some characteristics about them, some of the difficult parts of it. And, I always say at the end of these videos, I try not to make them so long, and I know that they are, but I really have more of a teaching style. I want to give you the fullness of the message of the lesson. So with my videos, you guys, start and stop them, listen to them while you're doing the laundry, whatever, they're more of a teaching style. Not so much of, wham bam, here's what this means. I want to give you the fullness of it. Okay. So again, you guys can watch my videos in a way that's best for you. So let's start with Aries and Libra. Okay. The basic thing that we're looking for here is how does these two oppositions work well together? We know that Aries is ruled by Mars, so it's aggressive, it's impulsive, it's kind of show-offy. Anytime you get the fire signs, they really do have a strong need for identity, for, high position in life. So the Aries really wants somebody next to them that they can show off. Okay, that they can show off. So Libra, who loves to look good, loves to walk in and just be the social, you know, knows the trends, very classy. some people call arm candy, is perfect to be in that position where they just like to be adored and like to be, here's my partner. Okay. The other thing about it is that the Libra, as we know, a lot of these things are kind of basic characteristics, but really does kind of struggle making decisions. It's the constant weighing out pros and cons, looking at all sides of it. They do not make decisions quickly because they really want to weigh them out. And here the Aries is so much more impulsive, often makes decisions first, thinks later. So if you're in a relationship with somebody in this opposition, you have these energies working. The positive side of this is learning how to say, I really need more of that. That I need to be able to make that confident decision. Just do it. That Libra needs to have someone in their life that they're looking to. How do you just make the decision? And, I'm worried about all the consequences and all of the different scenarios around each decision. So the Aries can really help the Libra do that. The Aries also really does like somebody that's take charge again, because they spend a lot of time, um, often taking that back seat so that everybody can be okay. And the Aries is like, oh no, I'm here, I'm important, and I'm not going to put myself second. I am first. So again, you can learn from each other. Now, on the opposite side of that, the Aries does need someone to help them weigh things out, to slow down, to think things through. Um, you know, a partner that, really takes their time. Libras can be very articulate, especially, when they're presenting themselves. They put a lot of time into how they look and how they present themselves and what they say, being very, you know, socially conscious, being very eloquent in their words. They're very soothing to listen to. And sometimes the Aries can be very abrupt and in your face and say things that you just can't believe came out of their mouth. They're very honest. They get in trouble a lot for what they say. So, again, can we learn from each other? Can we look at each other and say, you have something that I need, and I have something that you need? Okay, so let's talk about Taurus Scorpio. So, Taurus Scorpio. Taurus is ruled by Venus. It's an earth sign. So, they're very stable. They're very concerned about security. They can be very possessive. They're possessive of their belongings. They can even be, on a more extreme case, sometimes you'll see the Taurus as a hoarder. Somebody that, this is mine, that word comes up a lot. Very protective of earthly things, of material things. That's what makes them feel very secure. It makes them happy, is enjoying the luxuries of beautiful things surrounding them. Makes them feel really good. Now, the Scorpio also is very protective and very money conscious, very intelligent when it comes to making money. It rules other people's money, that eighth house. It's ruled by Mars and Pluto. So it's a lot. Obviously, we know the Scorpio is very deeply emotional, often very quiet. They don't just throw their words out there. I mean, if they really open up to you, that's like really, really a big deal. So a lot of times if you're with a Scorpio, you might be frustrated that they don't open up. But what you have to realize is when they do open up, it is, holds, it just holds so much power. Less is more. And so listen, the Taurus really struggles more with emotional drama. So they really want things to be very practical, very peaceful. They think things through, but they struggle more with that emotional intensity. Venus likes things very balanced. And so, being that Venus rules Taurus, they really like that balance. Scorpio, even if they try not to, even if they hate it, they are a magnet to, very intense emotional situations. It's a theme that continues to play out in their life. So together, the Taurus really gives Scorpio that more stability, um, a groundedness. Um, they share the same uh, intensity and value for the relationship. The possessiveness can be good. You know, one example, and I won't go off too much on it, but I was just looking up the charts of Dr. Phil. I love Dr. Phil and his wife. Oh my gosh, what's his wife's name? You guys know. I can't think right now. I just forgot her name. But anyway, it'll come to me in a minute. But they have a really interesting compatibility chart. And she has a Mars in Scorpio. Actually, so does he. They share Mars and Scorpio. But he has a moon in Taurus. And their relationship is very, very, you just see them. They're really protective of their relationship. I mean, she's like at every show. I mean, she ain't giving up Dr. Phil. And sometimes you see like behind the scene clips where they're talking. And I love that because you can just see how close they are. Taurus energy is very conscious of things that pertain to women, and so is Scorpio. So it has a strong energy or a strong theme around women issues. So both of them, his wife, Robin. Robin is, she's started programs for women that are abused and women that, need sanctuary. Okay, there's that Mars and Scorpio. And, Dr. Phil, he gets down in there. I mean, same thing. He talks about women issues and they support that. It's a very strong theme in the show. So, that's an example. But they both care about money. They're both very passionate sexually, okay? Very, very passionate. I think it's really an awesome opposition in a relationship is the Taurus Scorpio theme. Just remember that if you have this in your relationship, that the Taurus is going to be, trying to keep things more emotionally stable, may get overwhelmed by the intensity of the Scorpio emotional energy. Um, but it can definitely work. They care about the same things. All right, let's keep moving on. Gemini, Sagittarius. This is a fun opposition, I think, because the main focus of this is, really the communication and the love for information. I always say, oh, and excuse my nails, you guys. I know they're so terrible. I need to go get them done. And I was going to try not to talk with my hands today, but they're sneaking up here. Um, the Gemini, talking about Gemini, they are very communicative with their hands. Um, I call the Gemini like the small town country girl or the small town, person that lives in a community their whole life, kind of dreaming and wanting to get out. But, oftentimes they're teachers, they're school teachers, they're secretaries. They love their community and they know a little bit about everything. Sometimes the Gemini energy can be gossipy. Mercury's very gossipy and sneaky and all of those things. The Sagittarius really is more of the professor. They really have a real strong ego. Here we go again with the fire sign, and really love to be in high positions. And you know what? That intrigues the Gemini. That's great. Gemini loves to know a little bit about everything. They're curious. They need a lot of adventure. So together, this energy can bring a lot of adventure. Um, it's not boring because they both are on this quest for learning and information and what's going on. I think the difficult side of this opposition is going to be more that the Sagittarius kind of, they really work and move into top power positions, kind of the all knowing. And the Gemini could get really frustrated with that because they, you know, They're not so ego driven, but they like to be smart too. So they don't like being put down by the Sagittarius, and they'll learn from that teacher. It becomes the guru, the mentor, and the Gemini can often become the student. So this is definitely a really good opposition. We're getting some kind of weird sun in here. I'm hiding in my car, you guys, because it's just less distractions for me. Um, let's keep going. I might think of some more things, but the Cancer Capricorn. This is also another really good opposition when you really make this work, because here you have the stay-home mom that's cooking and providing this security at home, and then you've got the dad out ruling the world, the positions of the world, job, money. They both are looking for security. um, the Cancer, and I'm using man woman here, can go either way. um, the a woman who's a Capricorn might be a workaholic, might really love to work long hours. And if she has a man that's a Cancer, he might be the stay-home dad. He might be the one that's at home really cooking for her and taking care of those things. And so that can work. I'm really all for what works. Make it work. Use your talents in a relationship and make it work. Um, the Capricorn can be a little more detached when it comes to children. They're a little more stern because it's ruled by Saturn. So sometimes they can be more detached, not as emotional, not as, mushy, emotional. And the Cancer, the Italian mama, the moon mama, or dad, is definitely going to be very emotional about their children, very, very protective about their children, very concerned about things, worrying often. So, again, if you're in this relationship, you have to say to yourself, the thing that's driving you crazy about that other energy, that other person, is actually the thing you need more balance in. They're giving you something that's the opposite of that to help balance us out. Because often, we can become out of balance or too extreme, especially depending on if you have a lot of the same energy in your chart. Some people have, three, four, signs, or three, four planets, in one sign. So you're going to be more extreme. And so this opposition is there to help balance you. Okay. Um, let's talk about the Aquarius Leo Aquarius. The interesting thing about this particular opposition is both signs really do have a strong ego, a strong knowing of who they are. So they're very attracted to that in each other. Um, the Leo really needs to have a lot more outer attention, recognition from the public. They are the drama queen, the drama king. A lot of times the Leo will do things to get attention. Um, you know, Good or bad, they're dramatic. And if they're not getting attention, that will start to really affect them. They want to be the center of attention. And the Aquarius, on the other hand, really is not, really doesn't need that. They have like this inner knowing of, I am. And they have more of an internal um, confidence. And so that can irritate the Aquarius, constantly needing to give them that confidence or reassurance. And they can sometimes or often be a lot more detached emotionally. And so the Leo, even though it is a fire sign, they have a lot of dramatic energy and it can be emotional. It and often they can feel like the Aquarius is not giving them that feedback, that they're detached. On the positive side of this, though, my gosh, the Aquarius needs the Leo, because the Aquarius really has amazing ideas. can do amazing things to change the world. But because they don't care so much about being out there, they need the Leo to shine the light on them. It's, come on, get out here. You've got great ideas. Let's make this happen. So, confidence that isn't so needy of attention. And that really, can it's such fiery energy. It's hard to put all that fire in one direction. But the Aquarius will help them do that. They both like, again, to be different. And, the Aquarius really will, be the one that's walking around with the top hat and all the different, clothes. And that'll be like, you know, who is that person? Who is that person? And the Leo is attracted to that, is definitely attracted to that. Virgo Pisces. Oh, this is my department here. It's really interesting because I have shared with you guys. You're probably sick of hearing about it. But I have the sun in Virgo, moon in Pisces, rising in Pisces. So as a Pisces rising, just showing you guys how this works. My seventh house, the descendant, is in Virgo. So I need the Virgo. But then I am a Virgo. So my sun in Virgo is very attracted to the Pisces. But then I have the Pisces energy that also is attracted to the Pisces. So many, 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 almost all of my relationships have this crazy Virgo Pisces theme. Now the Virgo really can play the servant in a lot of ways. They're comfortable serving. They're comfortable being, constantly giving. It's sometimes very unhealthy. Um, Speaking for myself, but at the same time, it's like where they're very, very comfortable. The Pisces also can be very serving. They don't care as much about material gain, about material things. Money, although they learn, if they're smart, that they need money to be free, to be creatively free. So the Pisces and Virgo can take on a very spiritual relationship. They can serve, they can be in ministries together, community things together. Very good at sharing those things. The Virgo really gets really highly focused on fixing fixing. And when they see the Pisces is the perfect target for constantly fixing and organizing them. But the Pisces really struggles with being controlled. Virgos can be controlling. They're not comfortable with silence. They're always chattering in their head, like the Gemini. It's ruled by Mercury. So Geminis and Virgos are constantly got their minds going 100 miles an hour. The Pisces really wants to escape the constant chatter. They're always looking for a place or something that they can rest their mind with. Even if it's, a lot of Pisces will even get caught up in just being a TV addict or a movie addict just to escape into another world, reading books that are more fantasy based or somebody else's life. Where the Virgo is going to read the how to information, and always wanting to be um, very responsible. And here the Pisces doesn't want to be responsible. They don't want to be under a time clock. But together, when we take this energy and we put it together, you can see how much they need each other to be productive. The Pisces often has some of the most incredible ideas. They're visionaries. And if they choose to manifest something, I mean, they can just manifest unbelievable things beyond, what you can imagine. But by themselves, they often sabotage or they often dream their whole life away. They're actually more comfortable dreaming about it than really doing what it takes to make it happen. So the Virgo, now you get this Virgo energy in there. Oh my gosh, it's perfect. Because the Virgo is going to help them stay on track, help them finish things, kind of kind of ride them a little bit and this is what you got to do. Stay with it. So, what are we really looking at here? We're really looking at relationships being, you know, somebody in our life that brings something into our life to help bring out the best in us. If we're living in the shadowy side of our energy, of our chart, okay, if we're living in the raw nature, it's kind of like caveman style. Um, any relationship that you have is going to bring out the worst that's already brewing in there. Everybody wants this, amazing relationship, right? Aren't we all always yearning for somebody to share that with? And often we get in a relationship and we find out that's a lot of work because the relationship, somebody else's energy coming into your life is going to ignite who you are. It's going to ignite sides in you that you may not even know existed, that have never been triggered, that we just don't have triggered by ourselves. They're not challenged. And when relationships come in, they're triggering all these things inside of us. That's why they talk a lot about, you know, when you're a whole person and you're with another person that's a whole person, you're bringing two wholes together. Yeah. I mean, doesn't that sound ideal? But is that really reality? A lot of times we're wounded. And when we're wounded, we attract somebody else often who's wounded, wound mates, and the beautiful thing is, if you're in that position, if that's happened, I think that's happened for all of us. We draw in where we're at. Sometimes what happens though in relationships is that you might begin to grow. And as you're growing, if your partner is not growing and they're staying in that same place that you both met at, then what begins to happen? You're maturing, you're growing, you're experiencing the new levels of the energy you have embodied inside of you. And so if they're still in the raw nature of that, it can become very, very destructive. So you have to really ask yourself, what is it you're looking for? Um, you know, a perfect example is, and I was kind of going back and forth, but it just came to my mind again, the Libra. The Libra really needs and desires a partner. They are incomplete without a partner. They feel like the world is not complete. They do their best work, their best life when they're sharing it with a partner. But here you go with this opposition of Aries. The Aries can be perfectly fine out on their own, taken off for I'm going off, my friends. I'm going to go do what I want to do. And so the Libra can become very insecure in that. But at the same time, we all need to learn how to be okay with ourselves. Because the reality is, even though we may be driven, say in this case, towards needing a partner, we still need to be okay with ourselves. We still need to find our own balance. And so these relationships that have these strong oppositions in them, I think they can be amazing. Um, but I also think you have to really understand that this relationship is bringing out in you the things that you need. It might be bringing out in you the things that you lack. They might drive you absolutely crazy. Me having this Virgo Pisces energy in my chart, I drive myself crazy. But the Pisces side of me really, needs to have a lot of quiet. And so when I'm around other Virgos that I love, sometimes I start feeling like, I just need to get quiet. And they're not comfortable with that. What's wrong with you? You're being quiet. I need my quiet time where I'm just hearing my own thoughts. Um, so again, learning how to work out these scenarios, learning how to set boundaries in your own life, no matter what relationship you're in, no matter what sign, what energy, what chart they have. Knowing who you are, knowing what you need. It's very hard to do that because sometimes when we set boundaries with people, we get a negative reaction from them. If you have a situation, we'll go back to Taurus Scorpio. That Taurus might say, you know what? I just need peace and quiet right now. And the Scorpio typically would be, happy with that um, quiet ambiance. Um, but if the Scorpio is wounded, that quietness can become a deep brooding, and that might really pull that Taurus away. Like, oh, that's too deep for me. Or that controlling aspect. If you're in a relationship with someone, like I said, that you know you're trying to set a boundary. And if they have a controlling nature, they might try to manipulate you to let go of that boundary. And often we do. We think, oh, well. But deep inside, you're not being true to yourself. You have to know yourself. And you have to also realize that sometimes, most of the time, we have to find ways to fulfill and nurture ourselves. Relationships are not here to fulfill every part of us. They're here to challenge us. They're here to bring out things in us, bring out the best in us, and allow us to experience things in life, beautiful things in life, share beautiful things in life with somebody else, sharing our differences, sharing you know, our values, having somebody be happy for us. If you're in a relationship that you're feeling incredibly drained all the time, that there are no boundaries, that you've lost your voice, you have to really take a look at that. Because it, when you're dealing with connecting your energy with somebody else's energy, um, it's a lot to navigate. And you have to realize that, there are situations where people can drain out the best in you, control, take. If you're somebody that doesn't have that strong identity, which is what we're really all working on, you can lose yourself and spend years and years and years of your life in relationship that you've really lost yourself. And so these oppositions can play out like that because they can take from you something that you're trying to develop because they have a stronger sense of that. It can be a vulnerable relationship. Or they can give to you all that you need to make you the best. So you have to really listen to yourself. You have to listen to the situation and you have to keep growing. Okay, you guys. So I hope that was fun. I hope that was helpful. Just give you guys some different thoughts. Um, leave some questions below. I can get into more in depth about this. My favorite word, in depth. This is what I do. I do relationship chart readings. People ask me, do you use synastry? Do you use composite? I use it all. But I also use, you know, I look at the charts and I use an intuitive side of astrology to answer your questions. Because your questions are where you're at now. It doesn't matter if I tell you that this is your soulmate or this is your lifelong partner. That can all be true, and yet we cannot be ready for that or not know how to handle that. So I help you learn how to understand the energy between you two, how to see maybe through their eyes, and help you see through your own eyes what boundaries you need, and to also let you know that the things that you need are important. Do not give them up. because you'll die just a little bit inside every day. You know, I'll leave with one last example, the Leo. I get a lot of people who come to me and they have Leo in their chart, and I'll tell them, you need someone that makes you their whole world. You need someone that's opening the door for you, that's taking you out to, restaurants and um, making you feel special. Doesn't mean you can drain them and not find some ways of self-fulfilling as well, because that can be tiring, can be exhausting. But you can't give that away either, because a Leo, that's pent up, that's stifled, that's shut down. It's a really sad situation. And so again, these are all things to think about. I'm just kind of throwing out a lot of different ideas to you guys. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Tell me about your experience. And if you'd like to come in, I have a 1 hour special right now. I go through both charts and I design the reading specifically for you. Okay? So have an awesome day, you guys, and we will talk again.